in. Big up to the chat. Big up to each and every one of you for coming through. Big up Crawley Eagle. I said big up to Arsenal and Pakistan cricket team as well. So yeah, guys, obviously, we're gonna get into it. Obviously Benjamin Sesko, Rasmus Hojlund, news that's been dominating since yesterday. Definitely last night as well. And we're going to definitely get into that. Obviously, Man United played last night as well. Big up to Lumi Rain each and every time. Man United obviously played last night against who was it again? Bournemouth. Big up to Barbara Joseph as well. Guys, when you come in, make sure you smash the like button. And again, if you're a newcomer in here, make sure you sub to the channel as well. So yeah, United played Bournemouth yesterday. And obviously early hours of the morning, 2:30 kickoff, so I think for me, I wasn't gonna stay up and watch it, but I thought, you know what, I want to see what lineup he puts out, and I want to see most importantly how the team play, so we will definitely get into that after, but we're going to touch on obviously Benjamin Sesko and Rasmus Hojlund swap deal. That's been rumoured within the last night, we would say, yeah. So big up to Bilal, big up to Vedat as well, and big up to Agnes 14ish as well. So guys, as I said, when you come through, if you can just smash that like button, obviously help the channel to grow. And as always, make sure you guys sub to the channel as well if you're new in here. So guys, I wanna ask you guys as well if there's any Man United fans, because I have my own reasons for this. So again, Man United going for Benjamin Sesko, looking like he's the main striker target. So we did touch on this yesterday. I did say for me, it's one of them things where I don't really want Sesko. I don't really want Ollie Watkins for me. But if there was a choice between Watkins and Sesko, I would have been happy with Ollie Watkins. I think if it come between both of them, I think the fact that they've obviously looking like that they're going with Sesko, it is for me. I still have my issues because, again, this is a guy that scored 13 goals. I believe what United need as a striker to get the best out of the wide forwards in Cunha and Mbeumo is not a Benjamin Sesko. And again, what he's going to cost, for me, is going to be way too much money. But again, it's looking like that the club have chosen him. I think the only positive for me that I can see, and again, guys, make sure you have a look at the poll as well. There's some good questions on there. Appreciate everyone that has actually commented and gave me your vote as well. So yeah, I did put out there this morning, is it a good deal? Benjamin Sesko swap with Rasmus Hojlund. For me, and I have to be honest, I'm not Rasmus Hojlund's biggest fan. I don't think, in actual fact, I don't think Rasmus Hojlund is good at all. So, but what I would say, if United are going to get rid of Hojlund and bring in Sesko, although it does get Hojlund out the door, I have my reservations about bringing in Benjamin Sesko personally, because, as I said, I look at what Man United need in terms of a striker, and I just see Sesko as a striker that wants to play on the shoulder. Again, Sesko is quite good in the wide areas as well. But I'm just thinking, I'm looking at Man United and what they need. And for me, it's not Sesko. I just think that for a guy to score 13 league goals, and do I believe Sesko can get 15 goals for United in a season? Well, I mean, to be honest with you, it's hard to say, because if he's only getting 13 in the Bundesliga, and again, a lot of fans deem the Bundesliga as being inferior to the Premier League, how can we be certain that he's going to get, 15 goals in the Premier League? And I just think that Man United, for me, it's concerning that United are actually going for the likes of Benjamin Sesko. I have to be honest. The strikers that United have been linked with, I'm not saying that these guys are bad players, but it is concerning that the targets are being Benjamin Sesko and even on Ollie Watkins. Even though I do think Ollie Watkins out of the two is a better signing, but it is very concerning, man, because I think there's strikers out there. I wouldn't even mind if United even tested the waters, with other players. So I mentioned yesterday, I mentioned Johan Visser. If you got Newcastle trying to get Visser, Visser's 28, he's experienced, he's Premier League proven as well. He has a previous relationship with Embuemo. Why Man United haven't gone for Johan Visser is confusing, as I said. And again, whether Man United are looking at getting Sesko and to swap him with Hojlund, again, both players are 22 years of age. If it's a case of just getting one out and getting one in, then I kind of understand it. But I thought United wanted to be coming into this season with experience, getting more experienced front players. So Benjamin Sesko kind of undoes what United are literally trying to do. So it doesn't really make sense to me. And not to mention, this is a guy as well that hasn't really put up devastating numbers in the Bundesliga. So yeah, it is concerning for me, And as I said, I think Rasmus Hojlund in swap, if we can get Rasmus out the door, there's reports saying that he's a dream signing for Red Bull Leipzig. I mean, I'm not quite sure like what their scouts are looking at, and again, this is a club that does get a lot of younger talent, good talent through the door. But if they're saying that Rasmus Hojlund is a dream signing, I have to be honest, man. It's I'm not quite sure what they're watching. But if that happens, if it would I put it this way, would I be happy with Sesko swapping with Rasmus Hojlund if it meant Rasmus going out the door? I would. But then I think this is where the problem is, because I don't particularly want Sesko coming through the door, if I'm honest, because I just don't see where Man United are gonna improve with him. Again, he's an upgrade on Rasmus Hojlund, but it's not hard to be that. But the thing is, I thought United wanted to get, either Premier League proven, or someone that's a certainty. And Rasmus Hojlund doesn't offer that. Benjamin Sesko doesn't offer that. At least with the likes of a Johan Visser, a Jean-Philippe Mateta, or even an Ivan Toney that I've mentioned. At least these guys, have shown, whether it's in the Premier League, or elsewhere, or international, these guys have shown that they can score goals, and again, they're all at a good age as well for the experience that United would need in the front line and the way that I thought United would go in, which is why Ollie Watkins for me wasn't a target that I would like United to sign, really, if I'm honest. But it would make sense, really, in terms of the ages that United are looking at. But to be honest with you, Sesko, I mean, I look at what Sesko offers. Again, he's got pace. He's very mobile as well. But again, what I have a problem with is, as I said, how is he going to get the best out of the likes of Embuemo and Cunha? Because whether people like it or not, and Joshua Zirkzee, I know I keep mentioning Joshua Zirkzee quite a lot, but Joshua Zirkzee is a striker, and in comparison to what he's going to offer to what I believe Sesko is gonna offer, it's night and day, because you need to get the best out of the wide players, and I don't believe Sesko gets the best out of Embuemo and Cunha, because United are going to need a striker that can pin the defenders and again allow the team to get high up the pitch and get the wide forwards involved in the play. With Rasmus Hojlund, as we know, isn't going to do that consistently. Benjamin Sesko, that really isn't his game. So yeah, it's kind of confusing, really, because I don't really know where United are going with this. And not to mention the money it's going to cost. So again, 75 million euros, which is what's been quoted, which is what, 64 million, and then add-ons. So we're looking at a deal, really, that is going to be 70 million, you would say. So 70 million for Benjamin Sesko is too much, way too much. For a guy that scored 13 league goals in the Bundesliga last season is way too much for me, And yeah, I mean, I know he's 22, but Yeah, 70 million ain't good business, man, for me. People are saying that because of the Christopher Vivell, the links he's got to Leipzig, United could probably get a lower fee or include Rasmus in that. And again, like if that was to happen, that is good business. But I just can't believe that United are actually going for Benjamin Sesko. When I look at what's out there and what's proven and who's going to help the team, like for me, you don't go and get a Benjamin Sesko. Like that's a fact. And again, there's a lot of contradictory as well with a lot of fans from what I'm seeing because so many fans coming into the summer said United need to go and get Gyökeres because he's proven in goals. Yeah, obviously Gyökeres went to Arsenal. So it's a case now where Benjamin Sesko is seen as acceptable. And I'm someone that's not going to lower my standards. I'm always going to say Man United should be going for, who's going to help the team and the very best available. And for me, Benjamin Sesko definitely isn't what is the best available. As I said, if he scores something like, if he scored like 20 goals in Bundesliga, 20 Bundesliga goals, then I'd be like, do you know what? I can see where they're going with this. He's got 20 goals in the league. He's only 22 years of age, so I can understand it a bit more. But the guy scored 13 league goals, so it's just crazy to think that all of a sudden now it's acceptable to be going for Benjamin Sesko amongst the fan base, which is mad. And as I said, I think there's other options out there that United could actually go for, that would work better for the team, But in comparison, as I said, if it's a case of getting Rasmus Hojlund at the club, it's touch and go for me because I want Rasmus at the club because he ain't good enough. And again, we're going to get on to the game last night, because I can imagine that a lot of United fans will be excited, But yeah, obviously I'm going to give my take on what I saw, So I watched the whole game, early hours of the morning. But yeah, as I said, I just think that it's I'll go as far and say it's an underwhelming signing. I would say Benjamin Sesko. I think a lot of it now depends on Newcastle. I know United is looking like United are in pole position, but again, until Sesko puts pen to paper, who knows? I'm not saying it will happen, but Chelsea have shown in the past that they can just come in and steal a deal. Again, I don't think Chelsea won't go for him, but I'm not gonna say he's a definite signing for United by any means. I think at this moment in time, I think it's looking like United are the favourites. But I'll be honest with you, I can't really get behind this signing. I can't because if it happens and Rasmus goes, then fair enough. But if he was to come in with Rasmus, yeah, I think it will show me that United are not really learning because you don't go and bring two strikers that are both 22, two strikers that are not even proven, and then say, you want to try and catch the top six, the top four. That's not going to happen with these two players for sure. And again, I'm not saying Sesko's a bad player, but is he what United need right now? He's not. He's not. And as I said, 13 league goals tells me all I need to know. So yeah. But in terms of Rasmus going out the door and Sesko coming in, yep, I would be happy with that. But do I want Sesko? Not really. So yeah, it's kind of a 50-50 for me because I think Rasmus for me has to go, but yeah, I just don't believe Sesko should be the signing personally, But we're gonna have to wait and see what happens with this. I think there's gonna be some few twists and turns still, but yeah, for me, yeah, it's an underwhelming signing, I would say, definitely. But guys, big up yourselves. Come on, we've got 21 of you in at the moment and only 7 likes. Today's target is 30 likes, so if you're in there and you're enjoying the content, make sure you smash the like. And again, if you're a newcomer, make sure you sub to the channel. So I'm going to go through your questions and then we're going to get on to the game last night. And I want to see what you guys' takes on it as well. And as always, keep giving me your comments. Keep giving me your questions as well. So Arsenal and Pakistan cricket team says, do you think Arsenal need to sign Eze? Arsenal need to sign someone in that left-hand side, definitely. But personally, Eze for me is not going to suit what Arsenal want to do because Eze is a number 10. And unless Arteta's going to play Eze as a 10, Eze's not a winger, you know, and the system that Arsenal play, which will mean he's going to play a winger if they do sign him, because they're not going to play him as a 10 because Odegaard's there. So unless that happens, I don't see Eze being, because Eze's a very good player, but in the system where he's going to play as a winger, I don't really see it. So yeah, I mean, Rodrigo would work better in that system as a wide player, you know, because he's more used to playing as a winger as such. But Eze is actually a number 10, so I don't really see why Arsenal would sign Eze, playing him on the left-hand side when he's not a winger, when you can just play him as a 10. But I don't know. It's up to Eze. Obviously, Eze is a former Arsenal youth player anyway, and obviously he might look at it as unfinished business. So if he does go back, it's going to be interesting. But as I said, I think Eze, for me, is a number 10, and he's good enough to play as a number 10 for Arsenal. But when if he does come in, and again, Arsenal are going to have to pay close to 70 million, you know, to play him as a winger. I don't know. I don't think he suits the system. But you know, big up. Big up to Crawley Eagle says, Bruno, Ahmad and Dorgu were class versus Bournemouth, but a player that surprised me was Mount. If he can consistently play like this, then he could be a great asset to this team. I mean, I disagree with some of that, but again, I will get back to well, what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go through all your questions, and then we're going to discuss the game yesterday, because what I like is that differences of opinion, you know, the way some people see the game is the way they see it, and the way I see it is my opinion. So as I said, big up to everyone for coming through and giving your questions and your comments. But yeah, let me get through everyone's comments, and then we're going to discuss the game from last night. But big up, man. Big up to Lumi, big up to Barbara, big up to Vida as well, and Bilal. Bilal said, I didn't watch last night. How good was Dorgu? Yeah, Dorgu was very good, and Dorgu's getting better game by game, you know. But again, players like Dorgu, they just need to be given, you know, the platform, bit more experience at a high level of football. And again, let's not forget, guys, it's only pre-season as well. So, but from what Dorgu's been displaying so far, you know, he has been very good, you know. But as I said, yeah, I'm going through your chat, and then we're going to get into the game after. Big up to Jude Fenwick as well. Shaw looking good too. Hopefully he can have a good season as England are better with an informed Shaw. Oh, here we go. I'm not here for the Luke Shaw propaganda, man. I'll be honest. Luke Shaw's been at United for almost 10 years, and he does this every season. You know, goes missing for the majority of the season, comes back. You know, looks a bit sharper, looks a bit leaner. You know, puts in an average performance, and all of a sudden his calls for England and him to be a starter. Yeah, I'm not really here for that. But big up Lumi each and every time. Yeah, listen, there's a lot of comments about the game yesterday. Listen, I'm gonna get into that because yeah, it was a weird game, I would say, but yeah. Let's have a look. Guys, come on, there's 34 of you in there. Let's smash the like button, guys. Let's try and hit the target of 30 today. Big up yourselves. So Jude says, Lumi, how are you liking Gyökeres so far? So, well, the thing is, Gyökeres hasn't even played yet, has he? You know, I think he's been named on the bench today against Tottenham as well. So, again, he'll definitely be coming on. But yeah, I think, as I said, a lot with pre-season, you know, it's about working on certain things, getting your fitness up. But the main test is going to be start of the season, you know, to see where a lot of these teams are. But I think with Arsenal, with Gyökeres in the team, you know, they're going to be, you would think, more potent up front. But again, is he going to gel with his team? That's the main thing, because as we know, you know, the way that Arteta likes to play with Kai Havertz up there, Kai Havertz drops into midfield, you know, and links the play from there, as he's an actual number 10 anyway. Is Gyökeres going to do the same thing, or is he going to play more on the shoulder and more as a target man? So, yeah, wait and see what happens with Gyökeres and Arsenal. But definitely they've got someone there that they definitely needed. Big up to Daniela as well for coming through. So Jude says, I think we'll also get Callum Wilson or one of the free transfers. So Jude, I'm guessing you're a West Ham fan. Is that true? Callum Wilson, yeah, mad. Yeah, last I heard, Callum Wilson's going to West Ham. So Lumi says Arteta favoured Sesko over Gyökeres. Don't underestimate his potential. Yeah, but Lumi, Arteta also signed Madueke. So yeah, listen, I think we have to kind of remain cautious on Mikel Arteta because he can favour Sesko over Gyökeres. You know, he might have had his preference, but this is a guy that also signed Noni Madueke. So yeah, when that happens, yeah, we can't really take that too seriously, you know. But big up. So Jude says, for everyone in the chat, if you could have one legend for your club come back in their prime, who would it be and why? I'll answer that question. So if I could have one player from Man United to come back, who would it be? That's difficult, really. I'd possibly say, well, you know what? I think I've answered this before actually. I'd possibly say either Paul Scholes or Eric Cantona. And the reason I'll say Paul Scholes is because Man United needs someone in that midfield that can control the game. You know, this goes underestimated amongst a lot of fans, you know. Man United needs someone that can put their foot on the ball and dictate the play. If you look at all the best teams in the world, you know, you look at PSG. PSG have got Vitinha, Fabian Ruiz definitely as well. They're two players that can control the tempo of a game. Then you look at Barcelona. They've got Frankie de Jong and Pedri, control the tempo of a game. Real Madrid, you would say, obviously, Luka Modric in his prime, but he's now gone. And I think the closest players to that, you're probably looking at Camavinga. I would say Valverde, but Valverde's more of a box-to-box Steven Gerrard type midfielder. So I'd say Camavinga. Tchouaméni, I would say as well a bit. You look at Man City, you know, Rodri. You'd think Reinders would do that as well. Liverpool, Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister. Chelsea, you know, Moises Caicedo, Romeo Lavia. So again, all the top teams in the world, you know, they've all got players in their midfield that can dictate the tempo of a game. Man United don't have that because, as I said before, if you look at Man United's midfield of Bruno, Casemiro, Ugarte, and if we put Kobe Manu in there as well because he's been playing there lately, you know, they're not players that dictate the tempo of the game. You know, Bruno wants to play hoofball. Casemiro, again, is more of a midfield interceptor with his experience, you know. Ugarte is more of a midfield destroyer, you know, that breaks up the play. Kobe Manu is more adept to playing more of an attacking midfielder, you know, and does like to get his foot on the ball, but does like to do it in the final third. So yeah, you look at that combination there, and they're missing someone that can get their foot on the ball and, you know, get the likes of an Ahmad into the game more, who was very good yesterday or last night. Get the likes of a Buemo when he comes in, Acuna, you know, other players into those attacking areas. So for me, Paul Scholes definitely, but Eric Cantona for his aura, you know. And I know people were saying that, you know, Matthias Cunha is like an Eric Cantona type in terms of his aura, and the thing is, I do see that, but I'll definitely take Eric Cantona because Cantona on his day, you know, with his aura, just pulled the team through games, you know, because he had the quality, had the arrogance, you know, and most importantly, his mentality was just strong. So yeah, for me, Paul Scholes or Eric Cantona, I would say, in terms of what United need right now. You know, a central midfielder to dictate the tempo, and a forward. I wouldn't say striker because he wasn't an out-and-out striker, but it was more of it was a forward for me. Someone that can, just lead the team from the front, as a give me the ball, which I think Cunha has got that in him. But again, he's still got to prove that. So, yeah, that's what I would say, man. But good question. Big up to Gunners fan as well for coming through. Guys, come on, 11 likes, 30 of you in there. Let's smash the like button, guys, and sub to the channel. Big up yourselves. Let's see. Big up to Zero Requiem says, why Rodrigo playing out of position all season? Still highly rated. Sesko out of position all season. People not impressed. So, again, if anyone didn't know, and Zero Requiem's probably touched on it. So, a lot of people think Rodrigo is actually a right winger, but he's not. He's a left winger. It's just because the profile of Vinicius Jr. and even Mbappe coming through now, because they're a bigger name than what Rodrigo is, they'll get preference to play on that left-hand side for Real Madrid. But Rodrigo is actually a left winger, and for me, in terms of talent, he's better than both Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe, for me. But in terms of Benjamin Sesko, so Sesko played more in a 2 at Leipzig with Lois Openda, Belgian international. So Sesko was playing more of a... and again, this is why I don't think Sesko is going to be beneficial for United, for what United need. Because United need like a pivot striker. You look at Lois Openda. Openda played as more as the target man, but had the pace as well. And Sesko was playing kind of off him, So Sesko wasn't playing as the lead central striker. It was more Openda. And then Sesko, as I said, was just floating around. So for me, importantly, this is why I'm saying, in terms of what United have right now, in terms of Mbeumo and Cunha, and even Ahmad as well, in them 10 areas, they need a pivot striker, someone that can hold the ball, someone that can bring them into the play. And I don't think Sesko's going to do that. I'm not saying Sesko can't do that, but that isn't Sesko's game, and it's not really his go-to. So, again, another signing which I'm saying, I don't really understand why they're actually looking at a Sesko, and for the money as well. So, yeah, it is confusing, because I think this is going to be another Rasmus Hojlund, where, the fan base are getting excited, even though we was told all season, all summer, that United need to go and get a proven goal scorer. Sesko's proof that he isn't a proven goal scorer. He will chip in with a couple of goals, but for 70 million, should you really be paying 70 odd million for someone that can't guarantee you really 15 Premier League goals? This is the question, But yeah, as I said, I'm not really impressed with Sesko. I'm not saying Sesko's a bad player, but for what United need, I don't think he's the route United should be going down. As I said, I've mentioned previous names like Ivan Toney, Johan Visser, Mateta, for what's available. I think they're much better options than what Sesko is, 100%. Jude says, I've probably been back either Wazza or Paul Scholes. Do you know what? I forgot about Rooney. Yeah, Rooney slipped my mind. But again, I'm looking... The reason I said Paul Scholes is because of that midfield is a massive problem. It's a massive problem. And again, and Eric Cantona for his aura. But yeah, Wayne Rooney, man, top player. How much plus Hojlund for Sesko? 90 mil. So no, it's... So Leipzig wants 75 million euros, which is 64 mil, plus add-ons. So the deal is going to actually come to about 70 mil, if you're looking at the add-ons. Because I think they're probably looking at, 5 mil in add-ons, probably 2.5. Who knows? But I reckon the deal is going to come to about 70 mil. So I think if it's a straight swap with Rasmus Hojlund, I think if United can get Sesko for about 40 mil and then swap Hojlund, that's good business. But whether Leipzig would actually accept that remains to be seen. Because remember, Leipzig were quoting Sesko at 90 million before, which I think might have been 90 million euros before. So whether they take Rasmus in exchange and lower the fee, again, I think if that happens, then United are laughing. But who knows, man? Who knows? I think the fact that they've quoted him that much before, we can't really say that they're gonna accept a low bid of 40 mil plus Hojlund. If they do, I'll be very surprised. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And guys, as well, I've seen some quotes from people saying that, you know, Amorim has said that he wants to keep Hoyland. Like, the thing is, these things are just common sense. He's not gonna say he wants to sell Hoyland and devalue Hoyland. So he's gonna talk him up and say, yeah, that he wants to keep him, because otherwise, if he starts saying, look, Rasmus is surplus to requirements, then if Leipzig do want him in exchange for Sesko, you know, Rasmus's value is going to be lower. So don't take a lot of these things seriously. He's not going to come out in a press conference and say, yeah, look, Rasmus is shit. We want to move him on. He's not going to say that. So yeah, big up to One Chill Bunny says, we played some good football against Bournemouth. You can tell the style of play Ruben wants is happening. We will be a threat in the next 2 years. Big up for your comment, but I disagree. As I said, I will get onto your questions after. Onto the game after. But I massively disagree with that. You know, and you know what it is with me? I knew this would happen. And yeah, it's funny. But we'll get onto that in a minute. I'll go through a few more of your questions, and then we'll let's talk about the game. Big up Crawley Eagle says, Gav, are you a little more hopeful on this season now you're winning and controlling games? No. And again, controlling games, I disagree massively. I think this is what happens. You know, United win a game, and let's get it right. You know, it was a good result last night, but let's not get carried away. There's certain factors and there's certain problems at this team that need to be addressed. You know, and as I said, I think a lot of it's about standards. If you're a Man United fan and you think them beating Bournemouth and West Ham is acceptable, then by all means, that's your opinion and that's your choice. But when things do start going wrong, you know, you can't say you weren't warned, because I knew this was going to happen. I knew Man United winning last night, you're going to get fans saying, is Amorim onto something, certain players. I knew this was going to happen. So this is why I was looking forward to this stream, because, again, this always happens. But again, I'm going to go through a few more of your questions, guys. We got 13 likes. Make sure you smash the like button and sub to the channel. And we're going to discuss the game in a minute. Let's go through all your questions quickly. Big up to Chris and Mark as well. Yeah, big up for coming through. So, Arsenal and Pakistan cricket team fan says, Gav, is Odegaard world-class in your opinion? But again, a lot of these questions are subjective. When you're saying to me, is he world-class, Arsenal and Pakistan cricket team, what do you define as being world-class? That's the question. You know, a lot of these questions that people ask, a lot of them are subjective, because people can just say, yeah, he's world-class, but give me an example on why you think he's world-class, or what do you class as someone being world-class? Because if you was to ask me a player like Lamine Yamal, you know, he's definitely world-class, and I can tell you why he's world-class. But with Odegaard, let me know what do you deem as being world-class, you know? Toxic Fiery, big up for coming through, says, I would choose prime Gareth Bale. His pace and passing would really help the team. Plus, he's really clutch in cup competition. So I'm guessing you're a Tottenham fan or a Real Madrid fan. Toxic Fiery, big up. Mods, come on, keep pushing the likes up for me, guys, please. It's 14 likes in there at the moment. Keep pushing the likes. Big up yourselves. 25 of you in there. Gav, who is the third best player of this generation after Messi and Ronaldo? For me, it's Arjen Robben. Yeah, listen, Arjen Robben, man, what a player. If for me, there's no one. For me, it's between two players for me, and that's Neymar or Hazard. And for me, I'm saying Neymar. And again, if we're talking about, see, it depends what we're talking about. If we're talking about pure footballers, then Ronaldo's not number 2 for me. He's not. Messi's in there, Neymar's in there, Hazard's in there for pure footballers. But if we're talking about, you know, trophies won, the career, then Ronaldo's in there. But again, this is why I'm saying it's subjective, because we have to define what we're talking about in terms of the best player. Because if we're talking about pure football players, pure footballers, then someone like Ronaldo, for me, doesn't make the top 5, the top 10 for pure footballers. So this is why it's subjective. And again, people might have a problem or difference of opinion on that, but we have to define what we're talking about in terms of the best players. As I said, if it's trophies won, if it's big game player, showing up in the big moments, etc., then again, it could be changed. But if we're talking about pure footballers, then yeah, this is where it gets narrowed down. Give us Sesko and Donnarumma and Baleba, we can get top 4. So again, Baleba's been, if any of you have been watching the channel for any time since the start of the summer, Baleba's the main target that I said United need to go for. For me, I would have gone for Baleba ahead of Cunha and Mbeumo, because for me, Baleba would have been a statement signing, especially if they got rid of Bruno Fernandes, because Baleba ticks all the boxes for what United need. And again, I've been saying Baleba since the start of the summer as the main target. Why United haven't even made inquiries is annoying. I mean, there's people saying that Baleba's going to cost 100 mil. I don't know how these people actually know that, unless Brighton have come out and said he's going to cost that amount. We can't just start saying he will cost that. I think what people are doing is that they're going off what Caicedo went for and just saying that Baleba's going to cost that. But Brighton haven't even come out and said he's going to cost 100 mil. If Brighton come out and say, look, he's not going for nothing less than 100 million, at least you know what kind of figure you're working with. But I would agree. Baleba, definitely. Donnarumma, of course. Donnarumma is one of the best keepers in the world. But again, this comes down to do with what type of goalkeeper are United looking for. If they're looking for a goalkeeper that just wants to, be commanding, be a good shot stopper, etc., then yeah, Donnarumma ticks every box there. But are United looking for a ball-playing goalkeeper? Because if they are, then Donnarumma won't be the answer, because he's not a ball-playing goalkeeper. So again, a lot of it depends on what Ineos see as their keeper. I mean, when you get a player like Donnarumma available, again, you don't discount him out. But it depends what United are looking for, because if it's a ball-playing goalkeeper, Donnarumma isn't that. And this is why, if you look at PSG, they've signed Lucas Chevalier, left-footed goalkeeper who can play out from the back. And the fact that people are surprised about Donnarumma is because if anyone knows about Luis Enrique, the way he plays, especially at Barcelona as well, he relies on a ball-playing goalkeeper, which is what Donnarumma ain't. But again, Donnarumma is one of the best keepers in the world. But it depends if United just want to get one of the best keepers in the world, or if they want to go and get a ball-playing goalkeeper. So, but again, Donnarumma, top keeper, man. Sesko, I already touched on. Not for me. Not for me. Gav, do you think Wirtz is overpriced? Nope, I don't. Florian Wirtz, for me, is one of the best players in the world. And what you have to look at is that Wirtz is what, 22, I think he might be. I think Wirtz might be 22. So you're looking at Florian Wirtz, and we're going to expect Wirtz to be at Liverpool for the next 8 to 10 years. If you look at the next 8 to 10 years, and for me, there's no chance of Florian Wirtz declining. When you actually look at the price that they've actually paid, it's probably going to be a bargain when you actually think about it. Because if you add that money up over the next 8 to 10 years, you know what I mean? It's peanuts, really, when you think about it. It might sound a lot because, again, these prices are not really prevalent in the Premiership. But really and truly, over an 8 to 10 year period, it's good business, man, because he's going to be one of the best. He's one of the best players in the world right now. And at Liverpool, I expect that to continue, definitely. So Mason Greenwood would get United a lot of money. He would go for about 80 million, and you get 50% of any sell. Yeah, I agree, but Um, I think he was meant to be. I think there was rumors of him going to. I think there's been Real Madrid talk. There's been PSG talk as well. Obviously, still at Marseille. But yeah, Mason Greenwood for me, top player, man, top player. But I mean, I'd love him back at United, but it's obviously that's not going to happen, you know. So, but yeah, man, top player, Mason Greenwood. Gav, is Lobotka underrated? Stanislav Lobotka, I don't think he's underrated. I think many people don't look at him probably because of his name. You know, he's not really well known, but he's not someone that I would like United to sign. You know, I have other preferences in that midfield. You know, but yeah, no, I don't think he's underrated. There is a little rumor of Chelsea getting Greenwood, but I don't think he could come back to England. Too much backlash. I mean, I haven't heard, you know, about Mason Greenwood going to Chelsea. I haven't heard that. And again, for me, it's unlikely because if you look at what Chelsea have, especially on where Greenwood's going to play, because it's mad, isn't it? Greenwood's gone from playing as a central striker to really being a right winger. You know, I think he's got a lot of quality, and I think him playing as a right winger to kind of drift in and get his shots off, I think probably works for him better. But I think I look at what Chelsea have. You know, you've got Cole Palmer, William Esteval, and Pedro Neto who can all play there. So for me, it's unlikely that Chelsea go in for Greenwood. And again, with the backlash, yeah, I do understand that. But I think with football fans, as we know, football fans are fickle, you know. So when he first comes, if he does return back to England, again, around the grounds, he's going to be getting criticism. You know, he will be. But then I think after a while, it's going to die down. If he starts putting the ball in the back of the net, you know, it is going to die down. So, but yeah, I haven't heard any news about him going to Chelsea. And for me, I can't really see that happening anyway because of what they've already got. And again, they're looking at other players, different positions. But yeah, Mason Greenwood's a top player, man. He is. Guys, come on, we got 15 likes, 17 of you in there. Let's up the likes, guys. Come on. Smash the like button. Just one help just one press of the button. Obviously help the channel to grow. And again, make sure you sub to the channel as well, guys, if you haven't done so already. Big up yourselves. Yeah, big up to Zaid. Yeah, Spurs Arsenal today. I'm not sure what time they're playing. Oh, Toxic Fiery is saying at 12 o'clock. Is that 12? Oh, 12 p.m. lunchtime. That might be on now then. Let me see if it's on TV. Is that 12 p.m. lunchtime, or is that in the evening? Early hours of the morning, should I say? Posse Max says, how about Victor Osimhen? Well, Osimhen's gone to Galatasaray, so that's been confirmed, you know. And I think it's mad, really, that, you know, Osimhen was the big talk, well, one of the big talks in the start of the season, start of the summer transfer window, and he's ended up at the club that he was on loan at, which is crazy. So, yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, from what was available, Osimhen wasn't someone that I really wanted, but, you know, I think I think if we're looking at Benjamin Sesko, you know, I mean, Osimhen will work a lot better than Benjamin Sesko. So it is mad. It is mad. Big up to Wyatt says, do you think Gyökeres would have been a good signing if we got him? I don't really know, I'll be honest with you, because I'm looking at what United need. And United need a striker that is a facilitator. You've got one in Joshua Zirkzee, you know, and I'm thinking if Zirkzee is not going to be favoured under this manager as a starting nine, at least go and get a nine that can do possibly a similar job, you know. And for me, Gyökeres wouldn't do that. Mateta does that because he can pin defenders and link the play. The same with Johan Visser. The same with Ivan Toney, which I keep banging on about these players. And again, these guys can also run in behind as well. So, Yeah, I would have much preferred them. But Gyökeres for me does score goals, but again, he's still got it to prove. I know people saying he scored goals in Portugal and in the Championship, but can he do it in the Premier League? This is the question, and a lot of people think he can, but we're gonna wait and see. And obviously, Arsenal have got him now, and as I said, yeah, it's one of them things where time will tell. Right, guys, I'm going to get on to the game yesterday, and obviously, I will try and go through all your messages at the end as well. So, I stayed up to watch the game, 2:30 in the morning, and I'll be honest with you, the lineup, I was surprised. I thought Mbeumo would have at least been in the squad, got some game time. Cunha didn't play. If I look at the lineup that Amarim played, so it was Tom Heaton in goal, back three of Lenny Yoro on the right side, Harry Maguire in the middle, Luke Shaw on the left, and then the two wing backs, Patrick Dorgu and Diogo Dalot. In midfield was Casemiro and Bruno. The two tens was Ahmad and Mount, and then Rasmus Hojlund through the middle. Now, first and foremost, what I would say is, anyone seen my stream from yesterday? Great stream yesterday. I was talking about Amad Diallo, and I said that Ahmad, for me, is one of Man United's most talented players. I'd say, in terms of ability, he's up there for me in the top two, 100%. I'd say ability wise, well, if we're saying top three, should I say, him and Xerxes are up there definitely, and then you're probably looking at a Cunha or a Kobe Minu, But for me, Ahmad is definitely there. But the problem that I have with this system and where Ahmad's going to play is that this manager has players that he's trying to shoehorn into the team and new signings that have to play, which means that Ahmad is going to have to play as a right wing back. But the issue there is that he loves Diogo Dalot, and the only place Dalot can play in his system, for what he sees, is either wing back. Now, if you look at Patrick Dorgu, the way he started and way he's been playing in this pre-season, he's more or less secure in his position to come the start of the season, which means Dalot can only play as a right wing back in the manager's thinking. Now, that's going to directly impact Ahmad, because if everyone's fit, Mbeumo and Cunha will be playing in the tens, which means Ahmad has to play as a right wing back. Now, the problem I have with Ahmad playing right wing back is that a player of his ability should be on the ball as much as possible. But in this system, and with the midfield that United have, they're not able to find him consistently to get onto the ball. Now, a lot of the time, you're going to see Ahmad at times on the periphery of the game. And as I said, someone of his ability should be involved as much as possible. I think the refreshing thing yesterday that we saw is Ahmad playing the 10, and Ahmad was on the ball a lot from what I saw, and obviously he got the goal as well. And he just shows his quality over and over and over again. When he gets the ball, there's a certain composure that he has, and I think what's underrated about Ahmad is his strength on the ball. You very rarely see Ahmad get pushed off the ball, and if he does get pushed off the ball, it's a foul. So for me, I was happy to see Ahmad, playing in the 10, showing what he can do. But come the start of the season, can I be certain that Ahmad is going to start there? I can't, because this manager, I think he's going to play Dalot and as a right wing back. So I had my reservations come the start of the season, but there's no doubting that Ahmad is Man United, one of Man United's best players. No doubt. I think everyone would agree to that. But just going through the team, the standout players, as we spoke about a bit earlier, Patrick Dorgu for me, he's going from strength to strength. Got his goal as well. I think it was poor goalkeeping personally, but I think his endeavour and his effort to get in there has to be rewarded. And as I said, both the games he's played, he's been very good, very, very good. And hopefully he can continue that come the start of the season against Arsenal. That's what the aim should be. I look at who else played well for me. So Dorgu for me stood out. Ahmad stood out. I thought Mason Mount was a weird one. I thought Mason Mount was energetic. I don't think Mason Mount was great, but I thought what he had to do, he was decent. But again, Mason Mount's another one. You spend all that money on him, and I spoke about this yesterday. All that money's been spent on Mason Mount. Been given the number 7 shirt. He's on 250. There's no place for him in this team when everyone's fit. So you're gonna have someone on the bench, and again, you're gonna be relying on when Ahmad and Mbeumo go for AFCON, and Mazraoui as well, and Dorgu. When they all go, oh sorry, Dorgu's Danish. Sorry, when they all go for AFCON, this is when Mason Mount might get more game time. But when everyone's fit, Mason Mount doesn't figure in his team, and this is what's going to be interesting to see, because you can't spend that amount of money on a player and have him on the bench. So he's going to be an interesting one, Mason Mount. But I thought yesterday he was decent. I don't think he was great, but he was decent. The back three, I thought Luke Shaw was. Yeah, I think Luke Shaw gives you these kind of performances. It's and again, I don't want to touch too much on Luke Shaw, because again, this is a guy that's been there almost 10 years, and he does this. He goes missing and then comes back, and then all of a sudden he has a decent performance, and then people are now clamoring for him to be starting games. And again, this is where United fall down, because it's the same thing over and over again. But I thought what he had to do yesterday and how he dealt with Semenyo, I thought he done well. Harry Maguire, before he come off, I thought he was decent as well. But again, it's preseason. It's preseason friendly, and I think as well the conditions was an absolute joke. It was windy, it was wet, and I think that impacted on the way that Bournemouth could play. Because as we know, Bournemouth are a very good football inside, but Bournemouth couldn't play the way that they wanted to with the wind and the rain. And I think United dealt with the conditions more than what Bournemouth did. It'd have been interesting to see is if the conditions weren't like how they were, how the game would have panned out. Because I think that impacted Bournemouth a lot with the conditions out there. So yeah, for me, that was a massive factor in the result in the end. Because I think a better team as well. I don't think it's 4-1. I think it's a different scoreline, but yeah, definitely the weather impacted Bournemouth's performance. But yeah, just going back onto Maguire, I thought he was decent before he came off. Matthias de Ligt, for me, when he comes on, there's an assurance about United's defence, and he's by far United's best defender. He just adds a confidence and an assurance to the back line. And when he came on, there's never any worry, really. He's got the recovery pace, he's got the experience, and most importantly, he's intelligent as well. So I like the Ligt. Lenny Yoro, for me, again, Lenny Yoro is a top player in the making. I think it wasn't his best game yesterday. There were some times where he looked a bit rushed on the ball, but I think a lot of that comes down to do with the conditions. But I think, yeah, Lenny Yoro, there's no issue there, man. He's gonna go from strength to strength, and it's just one of them things where can he stay injury free, and can he keep improving? That's the main thing. And obviously, on evidence from what I've seen, 100% he can. Dalot for me was a bit up and down. Again, Dalot for me shouldn't be starting in United's best team, but this manager loves Dalot, so I just think this manager is going to find somewhere to play Dalot, and it's going to be at the detriment to someone else, of like an Ahmad, I believe, because where Ahmad's going to play, we would think that's where Dalot plays, and he's going to be trying his best to get Dalot in the team. So, yeah, it's one to watch, 100%. Casemiro, I thought Casemiro was off it a little bit yesterday. Again, I think the conditions didn't help. Obviously, what we know with Casemiro, he does provide the calming influence, the experience. But I think yesterday wasn't his greatest game. I think a couple of times he was giving the ball away, whether it's miscommunication or whether the conditions just wasn't able to help. But yeah, I think come the start of the season against Arsenal, I'm going to be very interested to see who starts, because we know he's going to start Bruno. So who's going to start alongside him? Because I think he's going to play Ugarte because of the legs in midfield. I think he plays Ugarte and Bruno in midfield, and I think if he does that, I think United could be in trouble. And again, this is why I'm saying to you guys, that midfield's a massive problem. It's a massive problem. And the fact that United are not even really linked heavily to a midfielder, you know, is showing me that the manager thinks there's no issue there. And this is where he could come unstuck. So, but yeah, I think Casemiro wasn't great yesterday. But again, pre-season's about, getting the fitness up and working on patterns of play to bring into the new season. And I have to say, I have not seen anything different from what I saw last season. Regardless of the result, which again was a positive result for United. I think if we're being honest, I don't think there's much we can kind of take into the start of the season. There's not. As I said, the conditions played a big factor for me in terms of Bournemouth's performance, because Bournemouth weren't good. Let's be honest, they weren't good. They had a few opportunities that they probably should have done better at, but the conditions were a joke, and I think that's what impacted them. But yeah, Casemiro weren't that great, but again, he'll get better as the season goes on. Bruno Fernandes, again, people said earlier in the chat that Bruno played well. Again, for me, he didn't. I think what it is with Bruno Fernandes is that he has a performance where he'll be poor and then he might pop up with a goal, and then it masks over his performance. Or if he doesn't get a goal and he's just playing, he doesn't really do too much. It's just like he's just keeping the ball ticking over. He'll get a tackle in, etc. But if I'm looking at someone that's on, what's he on? What, 350 a week? Was he on 350 a week at Man United? I know it's pre-season, but you'll be expecting a lot more of a better performance than what someone of Bruno's the money that he's on to be putting in. Because as I said, he's not doing really any different that any other midfielder could do. He's keeping the ball ticking over really, and that's all he's doing. Like, if I'm honest with you, I don't think he's doing anything different to what any other midfielder in the squad can do, personally. But again, he's gonna start as much games as possible under Amorim. And as I said, everything's gearing up towards the first game of the season, because although it's good getting these results in that pre-season, and the confidence is going up, when it comes to the first game of the season, let's say United get battered by Arsenal, which I don't think is going to happen, then all of a sudden, everyone's mood is going to be changed. So this is why it's important to keep perspective in, Again, be happy with the result, confidence being taken into the next game. But when it comes to the first game of the season, we're going to see what's really going on. And we're going to see what Amorim's going to do in terms of the lineup. Because there's a lot of players there, that are going to be shoehorned into the team, I think. And it's going to be at the expense of a few others, So yeah, I don't think Bruno was great. I just think he had a performance that I've seen all too many times from him. As I said, if he doesn't play well, and scores a goal, that masks over his performance. If he doesn't score, he has an average performance where he just keeps it ticking over. So yeah, that's what I would say. Mount and Ahmad we touched on already, and then we go on to Rasmus Hojlund. Now, again, Rasmus Hojlund, for me, I think both the games that I've watched against West Ham and against Bournemouth, he started lively. That's what I would say. But again, the bar's on the floor for Rasmus, because he's been that bad. It's like, if he just does an extra 5-10%, it's seen as a positive. And what I want people to realize as well is, don't get influenced by these commentators, because when I've been watching both games, these commentators, they're just overdoing it with the Rasmus. I'm not sure who the commentator is. I think it might be, I don't know if it's Casey Keller, ex-Tottenham goalkeeper. I'm not sure if it's him. But these commentators are just going over the top with the praise. So, again, if you're watching the game, you'll actually make your own judgment. So, what I saw of Rasmus, the first 15 minutes, he was getting the ball, keeping it, which was good. A lot better than what he has done. And again, he got his goal. So, good movement in the box, good cross from Dorgu. And obviously, skimmed the header into the bottom corner. So again, you give credit where credit's due. Good movement, good header, fair enough. Hold up play in the first 15 minutes. You would say he's having a good game. But as usual, Rasmus reverts to type, and again, when we're getting people saying Rasmus needs to stay and people doing the most to try and keep him at the club now, this is where Man United go wrong, because nothing's going to change my mind to know that this player is not good enough and isn't going to be good enough. But then what people do is that he gets a goal, looks lively, and all of a sudden now it's keep Rasmus, and this attitude, this mentality has to be wiped out from the club. Because if Man United want to be back amongst the elite and back challenging seriously, then the likes of Rasmus Hojlund are not good enough. And again, it's good him getting a goal for his confidence, but he reverts to type, and starts losing the ball as what is seen too often. Again, the conditions weren't great, and you can point to the fact that the conditions didn't help. But the performance that Rasmus put in, especially in the second half and towards the end of the first half, he does this every week for United when he plays. So I don't want people to get carried away saying that, he's looking better or he's looking sharper. I should think he should look sharper. It's pre-season, Every player looks relatively sharp in pre-season. But as we know, he's going to revert to type as he always does, because he just isn't good enough. It's as simple as that, But I thought the first 15 minutes, he did look decent. He did. I say he was keeping the ball. He got his goal. Fair enough. But in terms of him being a striker for United in the future, I don't want to be hearing none of that, because, as I said to you guys already, he isn't good enough for that for me. The subs that came on, I'm not really going to touch on them really too much. I think it was good for the youngsters. Is it Ethan Williams who got the goal? Mantato that come on as well. Cheeto, Kobe Mainu as well. I think Tyler Fredrickson, Toby Collier. Yeah, a lot of the youngsters that come on the pitch, I think it was more about just giving them game time. I think Cheeto, for me, I don't think Cheeto's good enough. I don't think he's ever going to be good enough. He definitely needs a loan. I know he's only 17, but again, put him out on loan then, because you can tell he's still raw, and I think he's someone that definitely needs a loan. And 100%. Kobe obviously coming on, just didn't really do too much, but it's more about just getting legs into game time into his legs. Collier, I think Collier's a decent midfielder, but he's going to be going on loan. Again, Ethan Williams getting the goal, coming through the youth academy, which was good. But again, these guys are not going to be regulars. The only ones that come on from the youngsters that come on, that's going to be figuring into the first team is Kobe Mainu. The rest of them are just going to be either loaned out or on the periphery. So, yeah, get them guys loans, I think, which will be the better bet for them. But, yeah, I think all in all, I think a good result. Conditions, I think, played a massive part in that. But for what I've seen over the two games, I haven't seen no difference from what I saw last season. I haven't seen any differences in patterns of play. I think United have a good 5 to 10 minute spell where they're pressing teams, which they do. I think, yeah, as we know, United, they like to press the opposition high up the pitch. But in terms of what we have to look at as well is the quality of the opposition. United have played West Ham, they've played Bournemouth. Are they going to be able to sustain any sort of pressure against the best teams? And this is where it's going to come down to. So for me, I don't want people getting carried away with United thinking that they've got two wins, out of two in pre-season in this Series Cup. But as I said, there's long work. There's a long road ahead, should I say? Because as I say, I've not seen too much that can be positive, if I'm honest. And again, it might sound a bit harsh or a bit ungrateful to others, but again, standards need to be remain high. I think for the confidence, for the players, I think it's a good result. But all in all, man, I've not been impressed. I have to say, because I wouldn't mind if United actually absolutely dominated the game, playing good football for a half. But we haven't seen that. I think we've seen over the 2 games, you know, a good 15, 20 minutes, and then, as I said, reverts back to type. You know, and as I said, the conditions yesterday were horrible. So yeah, it was one of them ones really that you couldn't really take much away from that. But as I said, good result. You know, some good performances from the likes of Ahmad, Patrick Dorgu, you know, as well. Especially, I think those two stood out for me. But yeah, long road ahead. And obviously, as I said, everything gears up towards the Arsenal game. Guys, for the Arsenal game as well, I might do a live watch along for that game. It's a big game, first game of the season for United. So yeah, if you guys wanna come through and do a live watch along with me as well, then yeah, I'll be setting up for the live watch along to do that. As I said, I don't usually do watch alongs because I like to watch, especially when it comes to games like this. I like watching them on my own so I can take the game in properly. But if you guys wanna do a live watch along, let me know, and I can definitely hook that up. Yeah, 100%. Big up yourselves. I'm going to go through your questions, guys. And again, let me know what you think. Give me your comments, as always. We got 17 likes in there. Let's try and hit 30 likes at least. So if you're in there and you're enjoying the content, smash the like button. And again, make sure you sub to the channel if you haven't done so already. Big up yourselves, guys. So Crawley Eagle says, my definition of world class is they would make the world's best 11. Yeah, do you know what? That's not bad, Crawley Eagle. As I said, like if we're looking at a world 11, you know, and again, I don't blame you for looking at things like that. What I would say though is that if we're looking at, let's say there's, because you can only pick, let's say you got 2 strikers, for instance, and you're playing a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. Again, you can only pick 1 striker, so that means the other striker might be world class, but because you can only pick 1, you know what I mean, it kind of falls apart in that sense. So I understand what you mean, but what I would say is, yeah, what I would say is I look at it slightly a bit different because, yeah. Gav, do you rate Declan Rice highly? No, not really. I don't. I have to be honest. I look at Declan Rice, and for me, he's a good Premiership player. He is. He's a good Premiership player. But the way that a lot of fans talk about Declan Rice, you know, I've heard shouts to say that he's the best, one of the best midfielders in the world. He's not. And I think a lot of it was based on, as we know, the 2 free kicks that he scored against Real Madrid, you know. And again, 2 great free kicks, nothing taken away from him. But what did he do against PSG? He didn't do anything. So I think he's a very good Premiership player, but I wouldn't go overboard and start saying he's top 3, top 5 midfielders in the world. He's not. When Thomas Partey was here, he wasn't even the best midfielder at Arsenal, you know. And again, if we're looking at Moises Caicedo, Ryan Gravenberch, Vitinha, Alexis McAllister, Fabian Ruiz, Camavinga, Pedri, Frankie de Jong, you know, there's loads of players that are better than him. You know, I think with Declan Rice, you know, if you guys haven't seen one of my streams I've done the other day as well, I think with Declan Rice, he's relatable to a lot of working class fans. You know, that's what I would say. You know, he's someone that, you know, he gets around the pitch, you know, he's a passion merchant, and I think a lot of fans can relate to him. But again, if we're just looking at pure quality, pure ability, you know, he isn't that for me. He's just someone, he's a workhorse, basically. And again, let's not forget that Arteta brought him in as a 6 and had to move him to an 8 because he can't play that role. Because in that role there, you need to have wing mirrors, you know, in that midfield, looking over your shoulder. You need to be press resistant as well. And you need to be good in the tight spaces and good at passing in that position, which he isn't good at. He's a box-to-box midfielder, a modern-day box-to-box midfielder, and that's it, really. But to say that he's world-class or, you know, he's one of the best in his position, I think that's people just doing too much, you know. But as I said, I think he's a good Premiership player, but I wouldn't go overboard and start saying that he's one of the best from what I've been hearing. For me, Klasjan Huntelaar is the most underrated striker. I think in this era of football, you could probably say that, you know. But if anyone doesn't remember Klasjan Huntelaar, ex Ajax, Real Madrid, and Schalke striker, Dutch international, again, he was a finisher, you know, and he was someone in his era that was just looked at as a good striker, you know, not special, just a good striker. And it shows you how much football's dropped off, because if Klasjan Huntelaar was in this era of football now, he'd be one of the best strikers in the world. He would be. So it just shows you how much football has dropped off now, because we're looking at the likes of, let's say, for instance, a Gyökeres. Is Gyökeres better than Huntelaar? No. You know, in Portugal, he's proven that he has scored goals, but I look at Huntelaar, and Huntelaar was nowhere near regarded as one of the best in the world as a striker, because of the kind of players he was playing up against or playing amongst. But in this era now, he'd be one of the best, 100%. He would. So Lumi says the best compliment you can give Rice is he cost 120 million, and nobody discusses that price tag anymore. Yeah, and again, Lumi, that's a problem. that's a problem in itself, because it should be discussed. Because if you're signing Declan Rice for 120 million and you've got no Premier League titles, no Champions League, you know, and I'm not saying that's all on Declan Rice, but you would have expected him to cost that amount of money to at least help steer the club to trophies, which he hasn't done. So the fact that no one's talking about it, it might seem as a good thing, and it might seem like it's because he's doing his job, but I'll flip it around the other way. The fact that no one's talking about it is a problem. It's a massive problem, you know. And again, Declan Rice didn't cost 120. He cost 100 mil. So yeah, he wasn't 120. He was 100 mil. But as I said, for that amount of money spent on one player, I mean, you look at, for instance, Moises Caicedo. He was the British transfer record fee. You know, he can look back and say, you know, he was instrumental in Chelsea. I know them winning the club the Conference League. They won the Club World Cup. So he can look back at that price tag and say he was instrumental. Declan Rice can't do that, because Declan Rice didn't help Arsenal win anything. So this is what I'm trying to say to you. Florian Wirtz coming in now, you know, that amount of money, he should be helping Liverpool win a cup, Champions League, Premier League. You know, and this is what it should be judged on. Because if you're spending amount of money on a single player like that, they have to at least help you win one of the trophies. That's the thing. So Jude says, like I would say, Odegaard on his day can be world class, but at the minute he's just a good midfielder. I think in terms of ability, Martin Odegaard is a very good footballer. But in the big games where he needs to show up, you know, and show that what he's about, he doesn't do for me, you know. And as I said, I think he's a very good footballer, but he's underwhelming in the sense of doesn't really show up when he needs to. So yeah, that's what I would say, really. I think world class is pushing it. Guys, come on, we got 20 likes. Just smash the like button if you're new in there. Big up yourselves. I'm going to go through some of the questions, guys. I won't go through each and every one. I'm just going to go through a few of the questions or comments that you guys have put, just so we can react to them. So like target for day, the likes target for today is 30. So we're on 20. So let's try and hit at least 10 more, guys. Appreciate it. And guys, as well, make sure you check out the poll. You know, there's been some good polls on there, and big up to everyone that has actually reacted to them as well. So the latest one today was, would you take Benjamin Sesko in exchange for Rasmus Hojlund? There was one done yesterday, which is an interesting one, which I like. You know, difference of opinions on there. It was who's a better football player, Mo Salah or Eden Hazard. So Again, the way I worded it in a way to see the thinking. So yeah, big up yourselves. If you've got if you haven't voted yet, make sure you check out my posts as well, and let me know in the comments as well. Big up yourselves. So Lucas Chevalier has gone to PSG, Arsenal and Pakistan cricket team. So I Show Meat says, who you support? Man United support. So Jude says, who would you consider a better price, Verts or Caicedo? Well, at the moment, you'd have to say Caicedo because Verts hasn't really got started yet in the Premier League. So I think it's Caicedo at the moment. But I think in terms of what Verts is going to offer Liverpool, how much he cost, as I said, and the fact that you would expect him to be there for another 8 to 10 years. Again, it's gonna be good value for money when you actually think about it. It will be. So, but I think Caicedo at the moment because again he's been doing it since he come to the club. So again, not a great start by Caicedo when he first come to Chelsea, but if you look at him now, he's easily the best midfielder in the league and one of the best midfielders in the world, easily. So Sabia Gupta says Messi or Ronaldo. Messi. Gav, will João Felix get a move back to Europe if he cooks in Saudi, in your opinion? Good question. Do you know what? I'm a massive fan of João Felix, and the way that his career has gone is frustrating, man, because this is a guy really that had the world at his feet, man, when he was coming through at Benfica, and I think he's a symptom of what the game's become. He's one of them players that is a pure maverick of a player. He's someone that, in a sense, needs to have a team behind him, and he can just be the free spirit to just go and do what he does. And I think the fact that he's now in Saudi, is a joke. I think, what is he now? What, 24, 25? I mean, I'm hoping he gets a move back to Europe. I'm hoping he does because, for me, and I still say this, in terms of pure ability, he's one of the best in the world on pure ability. But again, as we know, football's more than just pure ability. And the fact that he's now at Saudi, he's been to, I think it's 5 different clubs, Atletico, Chelsea, AC Milan, Barcelona. It just hasn't worked out for him, man, which is crazy. But I'm still hoping that he can come back to the Premiership or come back to Europe, should I say, and prove his worth, man. But a player of his ability, it is sad that he's had to go to Saudi, really. But who knows, man? Who knows? I'm hoping he does, though. Gav prefers Messi, I think. Yeah, big up to Jude, man. There's no thinking. Messi's the better player between him and Ronaldo. He is. But again, this could be subjective, as I mentioned. It depends what we're talking about. When people say Messi or Ronaldo, it's just a debate that's never going to go away. But I have my reasons for why I say Messi. Other people have their reasons for Ronaldo. And again, it's differences of opinion, and it is what it is. So, Gav, is Saliba top 3 centre-backs right now in the world? Top 3 centre-backs in the world. Well, for me, I mean, you got Van Dijk, even though Van Dijk is, I'll say he's getting on, but Van Dijk definitely. I'm trying to think who else is there now. So Van Dijk. I'm trying to think who else is there. Van Dijk. So let's go Real Madrid. I like Rudiger. I'm going to say Rudiger. Van Dijk, I know Rudiger wasn't great against, was it in the Nations League? I think semi-final, he wasn't that great. But I'm going to say Van Dijk, Rudiger. And then I'm trying to think now. Van Dijk, Rudiger. I mean, possibly you could say Saliba, Gabriel. I think it's hard, really, because I think Kanate could be in there as well. You know, I'm trying to go to all the top teams. So Bayern Munich, if they got anyone as a standout, no. Real Madrid, Rudiger, we said. Barca, I like Ronald Arroyo, but Arroyo's injury prone. Yeah, I think you probably have to say Saliba's up there with Gabriel, probably. You know, yeah, I think you have to say that. Do you know what? That's a question that is kind of hard because I'm looking at the standout ones, and the standout one for me is Van Dijk, and I'd have to say Rudiger as well. So I think Gabriel, Saliba, yeah, I think you'd have definitely you'd have to put them in there. Bilal says Sean Wright Phillips or Aaron Lennon. Good question. I'm gonna say Sean Wright Phillips, and because Aaron Lennon had ridiculous pace but was very one-dimensional. Very one-dimensional. So I'm gonna say Sean Wright Phillips, but yeah, I'll say Sean Wright Phillips. I think Sean Wright Phillips had a bit more to his game, I would say. Yeah. So Saliba definitely top 5 right now. Top 3, I don't know because there's players like Bastoni. Yeah, Alessandro Bastoni. But again, I think are we basing it on a 4 at the back or a 3 at the back? Because I think Matthias de Ligt has a right to be up there. That might surprise a few people, but I think Matthias de Ligt should be up there as well. But again, I think it's more easy to say who are the standouts, and the standouts for me, as I said, are Van Dijk and Antonio Rudiger for me. But again, there's other players that people might think. Good question. Gav, what will be the price tag of Chris Rigg next season in your opinion? See, I'm a massive fan of Chris Rigg. I think Chris Rigg's, I think he's a future England international. Very good player, ball player for Sunderland. I think if he has a good season, I think you're probably looking at about 40, 50 mil from Sunderland. If you think of how much Joe Bellingham went for, what did he go for? About between 27 and 30 mil. I think Chris Rigg coming through the youth. I think if he has a good season and there's interest in Sunderland sell him, I think you're looking at about 40 million, I would say, and maybe potential add-ons. Yeah, I'd say that. Big up to Broderick as well for coming through. Is that 12:30? Okay, Tottenham Arsenal. Guys, what channel's that on? Arsenal and Tottenham? Because I can't seem to find it. Let me see. Is that on I don't think it's on TV, is it? Oh yes, it's on now. Is it on TV, guys? Let me know. Let's see. So, Gav, who are the top 3 centre back pairings right now? So the top 3 centre back pairings right now, I think you have to say Saliba, Gabriel, Van Dijk, and Kanate. So those 2 are obvious ones. If we look around Real Madrid, again, Dean Howson's a new signing. Militao's been out injured. Raul Asensio's young, so we can't really say a pairing for Real Madrid. Again, Barcelona, Pau Cubarsí and Ronald Arroyo is a good pairing, but Ronald Arroyo's coming back from injury as well. Martinez has been playing with Inigo Martinez has been playing with Pau Cubarsí. I wouldn't say that's the favoured centre back pairing. Who else we got? Bayern Munich, Kim Min Jae and Upamecano. I'm not too sure about that. Who else we got there? I think you'd have to say. I think you have to say the best the best 3 right now in terms of centre back pairing. In no order, you'd probably say Van Dijk, Konate, um, Saliba, Gabriel, and Marquinhos and William Pacho. I think they're the best three right now in terms of a centre back pairing. Yeah, I don't think there's no one that kind of beats that pairing right now. You know, people were saying in the past, well, not in the past, but they were saying Milenkovic and Jason Murillo. Milenkovic and Murillo, sorry. But I think, yeah, the three that I've said, I think is probably the best. Yeah, big up Gunners fan, man. Big up. Right, guys, we're going to go through your questions before we wrap up. Big up yourselves for coming on each time. We've only hit 20 likes, guys. I wanted 30 today. So, again, if you haven't smashed the like button, make sure you smash the like button. And, again, make sure you sub to the channel if you haven't done so already. Gav, who will sign Bisek? He didn't play that much for Inter. Yeah, Bisek, I like Bisek. Again, he's been playing the three at the back. So, you'd have to think... if a team does sign him, it might be a team that is used to playing with a three at the back. I don't know really. I don't know. I think it's difficult to say, you know, because Man United are playing. Because again, there isn't many teams that play three at the back. This is the problem. You know, you look at Man United, Real Madrid could play that, but apart from those two teams, I think they're the only teams that really are playing three at the back. Bayer Leverkusen have been playing that, but Ten Hag obviously there now plays a four at the back, so it's quite difficult to see really. I think he might stay at Inter. You know, I think he might stay at Inter. Oh, Yamal scored, yeah? Why am I not surprised? Yeah, Yamal scored, man. Bad boy player. Yeah, big up Arsenal Pakistan cricket team, man. Big up for coming through. Shaw has been at United for 11 years. No, he hasn't. I swear he's come up to 10 years. Because then I heard there was talk about him having his testimonial. Yeah, 100% he needs to go, but I don't think he's been there 11 years yet. I think Maguire should get the captain's armband back. Jude, I think you're actually trolling, man. There's no way that Maguire should be getting the armband back. No way. No way. He shouldn't be playing. Man United's best defense doesn't contain Maguire. For me, it's the Ligt, Euro, and then either Heaven or Mazraoui. Not Maguire, not sure. So Broderick says, speak on Ahmad in the 10. Yeah, listen. Ahmad is a 10. This is the thing. Ahmad's a 10 or he's a winger. And as I said, I'm not going to go into it too much, but this system for me it means that Ahmad has to play as a wing back. But he showed yesterday, I know it's pre-season, what he can do in the 10. But when Mbuemo and Cunha come in, he's not going to play there because they've been the big money signings, and you know what I mean. They're going to be seen as as having to play, and then not to mention if he plays, let's say he plays a Cunha through the middle, you know, you've got Mason Mount who's got number 7 on his back on 250. That cost about 60 million. That might be next in line. So this is the problem. Ahmad's a 10 or a winger, and I just hope that, you know, if this manager does get moved on, the system gets changed, and we can see Ahmad playing more in his rightful position. You know, this is what I like to see. So Bilal says we don't have good candidates. It's like politics. So in terms of the captaincy, so for me, Matthias de Ligt, Casemiro, you know, even Mazraoui, you know, I look at those three as better captains than Bruno Fernandes for me or Harry Maguire. You know, Casemiro should have been a captain anyway. The most experienced player. You know, he's won the most trophies as well. And he should have been made the captain when he first came through the door. So again, that was another decision by United that was confusing. To think that Casemiro's getting captained by Bruno Fernandes is crazy. It's mad, you know, but it is what it is now, isn't it? Just going through a few of the questions, guys. Come on, we got 21 likes. Let's up the likes, guys. Come on. Let's try and hit 30. So Makunzi Moses says, for sure, guys, we need Sesko. I disagree. I disagree. I don't think we definitely need Sesko. I don't think that. And as I said, I'm not saying Sesko's a bad player, but you know what I mean? The problem is, if he does come to the club, I could see this being another Rasmus Hojlund. I can see it, you know. But and again, it's the price. If Sesko cost about 40 million, I'd be like, you know what, I don't want him, but 40 million. But if Leipzig hold out for 70 mil, like it's gonna be an absolute joke, I believe, you know. So Bilal says, did Rasmus even get a touch for the goal? And you know what? That's interesting because I thought the same thing. Because he looked like it just skimmed his head. But again, like the movement was good. But if he didn't get a touch, if he did, I'm not here to debate that. At the end of the day, Rasmus ain't good enough regardless if he scored a goal or not. You know what I mean? So the fact for his confidence, he got the goal, fair enough. But you know what I mean? It's pre-season, and is he gonna carry that on? The likelihood is not. So that's the main thing, you know. So G Native Soul Official says Sesko and Hojlund is better than one of them. We need squad depth. Yeah, again, but you've got Xerxes. You know, I know people don't look at Xerxes as a striker, but he is, regardless of what many people might tell you, he is. Maybe if even if Amarim wants to play him in the 10, he still is a striker. I'm not gonna have no one tell me that Xerxes is not a striker, because he is. Maybe he's not a striker in this system, you know. But again, if United if United get rid of Hojlund and get Sesko, fair enough. Again, you've got Cunha that can play through the middle and Mbuemo. But and you've got Xerxes, as I mentioned. So as I said, if they get a Sesko, he's not my preferred signing, definitely not. But I think get rid of Hojlund, I have no problem with that. So yeah, I agree, Andreas. I agree. Chido Obi needs a loan, 100%. And even if he gets a loan, I don't believe he's going to be a future striker for United anyway. I just don't think he's good enough. So G Native says, so you want to play the whole season with one striker? No, I didn't say that. I didn't say. I'm guessing that question's towards me. Yeah. What I would say is that you've got Xerxes as a striker, who is a striker. Cunha and Mbuemo can both play through the middle as well. So you've got three players that are, one of them's a striker and two of them can play through the middle. And then if you've got another striker coming in, you've got four basically. But but the thing is, to say that Sesko is an option now, when this fan base wanted someone that scores goals, is actually quite laughable, you know. And it's mad how things have now shifted. So if you could pick only one more transfer in goal or striker, for me it'd be a striker. I know people don't like Anana. You know, Anana hasn't been great, but getting a striker in to replace Rasmus Hojlund is more important than getting a goalkeeper in for me. You know, 100%. Yeah, big up to Enfect 3D Mushroom, big up. Big up to Remington Page as well. Yeah, big up, man. Yeah, big up Jude, man. Guys, come on, 21 likes. Let's push the like button. So Toxic Fiery says, Jermaine Defoe has got to be one of the most underrated strikers in Premier League history. He would be one of the best strikers in the league right now. 100%. 100%. Cannot disagree with that. Jermaine Defoe was very, very, very underrated, man. He was. Right, guys, I'm going to go through a few more questions, then we're going to wrap up. But big up yourselves for coming through each and every time. I'm just going to skim the questions now to see if there's anyone that stands out. Been going for a bit of time still. Sully Muntari, man. Ghanaian. That's a name I ain't heard in ages. Sully Muntari. For the chat, does Caicedo make it in the World 11? Good question. Great question. I would say yes. I would say yes, 100% he would. If I was to have a World 11, you know, the two midfielders, I would have Caicedo and Pedri. That's what I'd have. Caicedo and Pedri. Are Liverpool going to buy Isak and Guehi? I'll tell you now, if they buy both of them, the season's done. That's what I will say. I would say at this moment in time, it's I think Guehi might be more likely than Isak, because I think Isak's going to get priced out of a move by Newcastle. But Guehi's got, I think, 1 year left on his contract. But who knows? Who knows? Three-two Barca, okay. Didn't even know they were playing. Lewandowski looks like an old man. But you know what? What a career he's had, man. What a striker. One of the best strikers of his generation, easily. Oh, Yamal's got 2, yeah? Okay. He's got 2. Arsenal has 0 shots on goal in 26 minutes. What score? It's still 0-0. Yeah, Jude, I agree, man. Pedri is the ball player. Caicedo can do a bit of everything. He can. Yeah, Lewandowski should have won the Ballon d'Or when they scrapped it. 100%. He got robbed there. You know, he won. I think he won. Did he win the treble that season? I can't remember. Did he win the treble? I can't remember. But I know he scored a lot of goals. But he definitely should have won it. 100%. But guys, listen up. Big up yourselves for coming through each and every time. As I said, we got 21 likes. So if you're in there and it's your first time here, make sure you sub to the channel and make sure you smash the like button as well. So when you smash the like button, it helps the channel to grow. So if you haven't done that already, make sure you do. And guys, as I said, make sure you check out the polls as well. Yeah, big up Toxic, man. Big up. Make sure you check out the polls, guys, to see some of the ones that I've been doing. And again, check out my other content as well. There's some good content on there. And as I said, yeah, appreciate you each and every time for coming through. Big up to all the mods as well, each and every time. And as I said, I should be back, guys. I might be back tonight. I'm not too sure yet. But again, as always, keep an eye on the schedule. Make sure your notifications are on as well. And but if not tomorrow, then definitely back to if not today, sorry, later on today, then definitely back tomorrow. And as I said, keep your support coming, guys. It's much appreciated. And again, in the polls, guys, make sure you vote and let me know in the comments, you know, why you're picking that player or who your preference is. Just let me know. Yeah, the schedule's on, obviously, when I so check to see on the notifications to see when I've scheduled the stream. That's what I meant, sorry. But yeah, as I said, big up yourselves each and every time, guys. It's much appreciated, as I said. So if I'm not live later today, definitely tomorrow. And big up yourselves, as I said. So Nottingham Forest just signed Dan Ndoye. Decent signing. Decent signing for Forest. Decent signing, to be fair, to replace Elanga as well. But guys, yeah, big up yourselves each and every time. And I'll catch you either later tonight or tomorrow. Take it easy.